everyone. We're happy to welcome you again on the platform Global Law Thinkers Society, the international organization and UK World Record Achiever. The organization focuses on empowering the young generation towards becoming effective decision makers. In alignment with our goal to empower youth and acquire them with knowledge and practical skills for their personal and professional growth, we had organized SRTA training webinars, which stands for Search, Read, Think, and Act. We had elaborated the process toward professional and personal growth based on some certain very small steps that can make a big difference. The first step is to search for reliable information and knowledge. The second step is to read and analyze information factually. The third step is to think of the optimal use of the information. And the fourth step is to act to make an impact. Our today's topic is going to be about path to success and how you can, guys, all of you, trace it towards achieving your goals and achieving the success that you would like to achieve. And our today's mentor is Jessica J. Lockhart, a renowned international writer and speaker and CEO of the Institute of Humanology. Hello, Jessica. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hello, Sarah. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today. I'm really thrilled and motivated to give you this presentation.
Thank you. Same in here. And before we start, I would like to address dear viewers. The presentation is going to be interactive, so please just grab your pencil and get a paper and come and follow us. And if you have any questions, please put them on the comment section. At the end, we'll choose the most interesting ones to ask for our presenter. We may proceed with the presentation.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I am really thrilled to be here today sharing how to establish your own path to success. As Sarah so kindly said, we're going to be working today, so I'm going to ask you to grab those pens and paper so you can start working right away. And the first thing, in order to define what your path to success is to define what success means. How are you going to establish your own path to success unless you understand what success really means? In order to define success, I'm going to ask you to grab those pens and paper, and I want you to do a little exercise with me. Are you ready? I want you to write as many endings as you can to the sentence on the slide. I am successful when... I want you to finish that sentence. Come on, go ahead. Imagine all possible endings to that sentence that are true endings, that is, that you really feel. I am successful when... Come on, go for it. I am successful when... What needs to happen in your environment? What do you need to see, to feel, to know that you're successful? Everything and anything that makes you feel like you're successful in every field of your life. Come on. Right, I hope you wrote a few sentences there. I hope you identified how you feel you're successful. We're going to go over those later, but now I want you to answer the second question. So who gets to choose? Who gets to choose when you are successful? Are you the one saying, I am successful, or are other people telling you you are successful? Think about it for a minute. Who gets to choose? And write it down on your piece of paper, please. Okay, we already have those sentences of when you know you're successful and who gets to choose. Let me explain what it is that we're going to be doing today, okay? I'm going to be working from the field of humanology, Humanology is a new discipline that studies and explains human beings. Yeah, so it's a very wide, but at the same time integrative type of discipline. And what humanology usually does, it tells you the how of things. It's like, I'm not going to tell you what success means to you. I'm going to tell you how to get it. And it's going to offer you unique practical tools. You're going to see that today I'm going to be giving you quite a few tools that you can store and treasure and use at any time in your life. And the process is going to be individual. It's going to be just for you, because although I'm going to be introducing and presenting specific tools, those tools need to be applied to you and only you, because you are the one working with yourself. I am here in Panama, by the way. You are in many different places in the world. What I'm going to give you is something you have to use on yourself. And last but not least, humanology doesn't judge. What does this mean? This means that whatever you think is good for you is okay by us. We're not here to tell you what you should do or where you should go or how you should proceed, because we're not here mentoring you in that sense. We're helping you get to wherever you want to go. And in order to do that, we're going to work on this one question today. How can I define and follow my own plan to success? What is it that I need to do to reach my own success? Well, first of all, as the question says, we're going to have to define what success means. Don't you agree? And we're going to end up creating a plan that is going to be your plan, because only your plan will work for you. So be ready to work really hard, because I'm going to try and help you to make that plan today, here, live. Are you ready? Let's see. We're going to start by designing this roadmap that you're going to be creating for yourself. The whole objective of today is that you leave today's session with your own roadmap. What it is that you want to achieve, how you're going to go about achieving it, how you're going to go from point A to point B, and every step that you have to follow. It's like these treasure maps that pirates used to use. We're going to be designing the little road. We're going to be marking the important steps. We're going to be marking the important obstacles and the important places. And we're going to do all that in today's session. So the first thing we have to do is we need to define your objective. What is it that you want to achieve? So how are you going to define your success? We're going to start working on defining your objective, because once we know what it is that we want to get, we will start working on how to get it, which is precisely what I told you we would be doing. In order to do that, we're going to do the second exercise today. Are you ready for it? Grab your pens, grab your paper, and let's go on preparing our objective. In order to prepare an objective, a real objective, we have to realize that objectives are not dreams. Objectives are not wishes. Objectives are not just mere ideas floating in the universe, are they? No. Objectives are things that we want to reach, and therefore they have to be reachable, and they have to be measurable, and they have to comply with a set of rules in order to be real objectives, in order to become something tangible and achievable. For your objective to be a real objective, and later on I will explain the difference between objective and goal in this humanology setting, you have to make sure that your objective complies with 5 basic rules. You have them on the slide, but we're going to go through them one by one, okay? I want you to first note down your idea of what your objective is. Just write it down. Now, in a minute, blah, 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 blah. I want to be blah, blah, blah. I want to reach blah, blah. I want to, that's my objective. Once you have that written down, I'll give you a few more seconds. Then we're going to reword it according to these humanology rules. So take that objective that you wrote and ask yourself, is this objective stated in positive terms? An objective, to be a real objective, has to be stated in positive terms. What do I mean by this? If you say, I want to never be unhappy, never is a negative term. We would have to change that objective into something positive. I want to be happy all the time. I want to be happy most of the day. Why? Scientists have already proven over and over and over again that the human brain is a little bit like a computer. It works in a way that is very similar to a computer in the sense that it's binary. It uses yes and no, black and white, all these items of information, and the item that corresponds to no, the negation, it's sometimes overlooked by our brain. Sometimes we say, I don't want this, and the brain interprets it as, I want this. I don't have the scientific explanation why this happens, but I do have all the studies that say that this happens. So, because we don't want to run any risks, imagine you say, my objective is to not fight with my siblings. If your brain doesn't process that not, your objective is going to be to fight with your siblings. Just the opposite of what you want to get. So in order to avoid this little problem in the future, I want you to state your objective always in positive terms, all right? So if you stated it in the negative, you're going to have to change it and state it in the positive. Second, make it dependent only on you and not others. Oftentimes, we establish goals and objectives that not only depend on us, that depend on many people. Well, that's not an objective, that's a dream, or that's a plan with other people, but it's not your objective. An objective necessarily must depend only on you. So if you wrote an objective that involves other people, I would recommend that you size it down to only that part that corresponds to your work, to your effort. You can only have an objective that you can strive for, that you can fight for, that you can work for, all right? So once again, if it's a general objective that involves other people, just take the part that involves only you. Third, make it of a size you can handle. I will use a very typical example that I have in my office. I have a lot of people coming to me and saying, I want to lose weight. And I say, okay, so how much weight would you like to lose? And they say, oof, I want to lose, 40 kilos, which is, a 17-year-old kid might weigh 40 kilos, okay? It's a lot of weight. I'm saying this because I don't know what part of the world you're listening to me from, so it could be pounds that you handle. So 40 kilos is a lot of weight. And they say, and I want to lose it in 3 months. Well, that's not doable. That's physically impossible unless you undergo a surgical operation and all this kind of thing, but then it doesn't depend on you. So it's too big an objective to handle. So we would have to reward it and maybe make it smaller and say, well, I want to lose 10 kilos in the next 3 months. Okay, that's something you can handle because it's not too big. It's doable, it's not undoable, okay? So the next one is include a measure of success when describing it, something that tells you that you reached it. Going back to this example of losing weight, imagine a person that comes to me and says, I want to lose weight. I say, okay, so how much would you like to lose? And they say, I'd like to lose 10 kilos. Okay, that's it. Unless a deadline is given and this person starts losing 10 grams every day, they might achieve their goal sometime a few years from now because there is no deadline. Compare that to, I want to lose 10 kilos within 3 months. Then we have a final date. That gives us a framework. That makes it so much easier to handle. All right? And last but not least, oh, sorry, that was the deadline. I skipped both. The measure of success. Sorry, we have to have a deadline. The deadline is the date, and then the measure of success is we need to know how we're going to measure it. Let's use the same example. Imagine a person comes to you and says, I want to lose weight, and they say, I want to lose a lot of weight, and they don't define how much weight they want to lose. Again, if they lose 10 grams a day, they're already achieving their goal or their objective because they're already losing weight. And that person that comes and says, I want to lose weight, might have the figure in their heads, but by not stating it, they're not really creating an objective, they're just creating a dream or a wish, all right? So I want you to go back to your objective, and I want you to reword it. At the end of the document, you have it. My objective is, I want you to reword it, making sure that your objective fulfills these 5 items. Remember, it has to be in the positive, it has to depend on you, it has to be of a size you can handle, it has to be measurable, and it has to have a deadline. Come on, go for it. Let me put the slide back on so you can check it and remember all the words. Rewrite it in a way that is compliant with these 5 items. And if you have difficulties rewriting it, you can ask me later when we finish the presentation. We can try and reward your success story, your objective, in a way that is really achievable and doable, all right? Let's continue, let's move on. So the next step you're going to have to do is, you're going to have to define your personal resources, okay? And here I'm talking about anything and everything that you have, that you can get access to reach the objective you set for yourself. And when we're talking about personal resources, we're not talking about just materialistic ones. We're talking about many other things. We're talking about everything you can see here on this slide. We're talking about the resources that will make you invisible, that will help you reach this objective. And I've divided them into 4 main fields. The first one is the talent you have. Okay, what are you good at? What is your natural talent? And you might say, well, I'm good at singing. How is that going to help me achieve my objective? Well, for this part of the exercise, I would like you to just write it down. Write every talent you have, because sometimes along that treasure map, we end up discovering that talent we neglected to consider finally comes in handy. So please, do a little introspection exercise now and ask yourself, what are my talents? And I will say it in the plural, because we all have many talents. So what is it that you were naturally gifted with? Are you good at math? Are you good at talking to people? Are you good at recruiting people? Are you good at drawing? What are your talents? You're going to have to make a list of all those talents. But I also want you to make a list of your skills. And you're going to say, so what's the difference between a talent and a skill? Well, a skill is something you've learned. A talent is something you were born with. It's like something you're gifted for, and you might have not developed it, but you're good at it. It's like when you have a good eye for spatial organization, or when you have a good ear for languages, because maybe that might come in handy later. And your skills are things that you worked for, things that you developed. So for example, you have this talent for math, but you developed a skill for applying mathematical analysis to whatever. So I also want you to write down your skills. What skills do you have as a human being and as a professional? Then, what are your values? And you're going to say, what do values have to do with achieving and reaching objectives? Well, they have a lot to do. Your values are going to set the limits to what you're willing to do and to what you're not willing to do. So if you're, for example, an honest person and that's one of your values, there are certain things and certain steps that you might not want to take in pursuing your goal. So you might want to take a sideways road instead of taking the most direct, straightforward one, because that one is not that honest. So knowing what your values are and what is at stake might help you design your roadmap. And last but not least, I want you to ask yourself how optimistic you are. And when we talk about optimism here, we're not talking about just being happy all day long and feeling like everything is great. Nah, that's not being optimistic. That's being silly. Nah. An optimist is the person who never gives up. Is the person who tries to overcome an obstacle, and when that obstacle is difficult and they can't overcome it the usual way, then they try another way. And if that doesn't work, then they try still another way, and then another way. The real optimist is therefore the person who never gives up, who's always looking for new ways, who's always persevering with hope in his heart, knowing that if they persevere, they will get there. And if this road doesn't work, they will try another one and then another one. All right? So how optimistic are you? What's your level of optimism? I want you to answer these 4 questions about what makes you invisible. I want you to go back to that list and I want you to write them down now. I want you to look at yourself, analyze yourself, and ask you what your talents, your skills, your values, and your level of optimism are. Go for it. Okay, let's go back so you remember everything that I want you to write down. There you go. Okay, so you have it? Well, you can also finish these lists later when we move on. Let's continue because, as I said, I'm going to make you work very hard today and I have a lot of information to give you. So once you know what makes you invincible, let's move on. We need to ask ourselves the next question. What else do I need? Okay, so we know what we have, all right? These are the things I have. These are the things I am, and these are the things I can do. So what else is it that I need? What don't I have? What else do I need to add to my basket of resources so I can really, really reach my objective? I want you to ask yourself what it is that you need from others. Now, yes, what is it that I need to look outside of myself to be able to reach this objective, this particular objective? Now, yes, okay, we're focusing on this one objective. Let's see. What do I need to get from the outside? What help do I need? Do I need any specific materials that I don't have? Do I need any support? Do I need maybe a mentor? Do I need Jessica to teach me how to do it step by step and to guide me? What is it that I need on top of what I already have? Come on, write it down. Write everything you can think of, all right? And once you write down everything you need, we're going to go back to your level of optimism. Because in Humanology, we always say that optimism is basic if we want to really, really achieve our goals and objectives. If you're a pessimist, what's going to happen is the following. You're going to start going towards an objective and you're going to see an obstacle ahead of you. You're going to say, oof, there is an obstacle right in front of me. And as I said, if you're a pessimist, your internal dialogue is going to be something like this. Gosh, there we go again. It's going to be so hard. I'm not going to make it. I'm never going to make it. See, here is this obstacle. I'm sure it's going to be very difficult to overcome. And then you're going to try and use whatever resources you already have to overcome that obstacle. And if you can't overcome the obstacle, you're just going to give up. You're going to go back where you came, and you're going to be telling yourself, see, I already knew it was impossible. I don't know why I wanted to reach that objective. I knew it was going to be very difficult. See, I was right. And you're going to convince yourself once more that you're not good at things. And because you're a pessimist, you're going to give up immediately right after trying the one tool that you accumulated in your life. You're going to give up. You're going to convince yourself that you're not good at anything, and you're going to dread any other obstacle in the future. Do you know people like that? I'm sure you do. I do a lot. A lot of people are like that. And they say, you know, I'd rather be a pessimist because if I fail, at least I'm ready for it. I say, it doesn't work like that. You're going to fail precisely because you're a pessimist. What does the optimist do? The optimist faces the same objective and sees the same obstacle on the way and starts moving towards it. And his personal internal dialogue goes along these lines. I really want to reach that objective. Oh, I see there's an obstacle on the way. Oh, no problem. I'm sure I can overcome it. So he gets to the obstacle and he tries. God, this is harder than I thought. Well, if this doesn't work, and he's using the tools that already worked before, he's going to try a different tool. Okay, let's try something I used 10 years ago. Maybe this works here. And he tries a different way. If that doesn't work, as I said before, he will try another way and another way until he finally finds a way to solve the riddle, overcome the obstacle, and reach the objective. If after trying and trying everything he knows, he still cannot overcome the obstacle and reach the objective, he will probably decide, okay, this is impossible. Let's see how I can reword like change the wording of my objective so I can reach something similar, maybe easier. Only then will the optimist not even give up, but change the objective a little bit, okay? And in that sense, real optimists end up becoming much more successful because they never give up, end up becoming much more resourceful because they accumulate all these resources that they use, and they end up learning many new resources as they overcome obstacle after obstacle. They end up becoming more creative because they look for solutions when none are found. They end up becoming much more happy with their lives because they become more successful, because they reach more goals, because they have much more fun, because they don't give up immediately, and therefore they have many more experiences, especially positive experiences, than the pessimists. You see it? So that's why here in Humanology, we insist that it's always better to be an optimist. And people also say, well, I think it's best to be a realist. Well, if you consider that optimism is at one end of the spectrum and optimism is at the other end of the spectrum, I don't think there's any human being that is a pure realist, because that would mean being exactly in the middle. So we're always a little bit to one side or a little bit to the other, or very much to one side and very much to the other. And apart from that, well, let me tell you that all studies in the world, and there have been thousands upon thousands of studies, have proven that optimists live longer, healthier lives and more successful and happy lives. So you choose, but that's why we teach optimism so convincingly in our institute. So imagine you decided that you don't have enough optimism, or that you would like to be more optimistic, especially after all the things I just said. What do you need to do to feed your optimism? Well, I presented 4 icons on this slide that represent the 4 basic elements of the real optimist. Well, the first thing you need is motivation. Motivation is what you need to start moving. It's like, I'm going to compare this to a car, okay? I hope you all know how to drive a car. Let's say motivation is having the wish, having the desire to get somewhere. Imagine you have a car, you have the keys, you have the gas, but you don't want to go anywhere. So the car would be useless. If you want to reach an objective, if you want to be successful, you need to have a goal. You need to define where to go. So motivation is what will kind of start you into this path. If you don't have the motivation, you will never make it, because it's what's going to start moving you towards your goal. In Humanology, we always explain that there's 2 types of motivation, and that those 2 types are perfectly okay, but they require different approaches. Are you ready for this? The first type of motivation is the type of motivation that people have when they need to have goal after goal after goal, when they need a roadmap like the one we're creating today, when they need to have a path defined in front of them to continue moving. They know where they're going, and that's their type of motivation. That's called instrumental motivation. And that kind of motivation is fantastic for people who want to move and move and move. But that kind of motivation sometimes takes us flying too high and not keeping our feet on the ground. Be careful. If your motivation is instrumental, you have to remind yourself to keep anchored on the ground, all right? This second type of motivation, which is perfectly fine as well, is just different. And these types of motivation we're born with, okay? The second type is what we call integrative motivation. Integrative motivation refers to the kind of motivation people have when what really matters to them is to feel like everything works, like the environment they're in is progressing and is healthy and is okay. It's the type of motivation we find in people who focus on the team instead of the goal. And this kind of motivation is fantastic when you need team effort, or when you need to make people feel like they belong somewhere. The people who pursue these, or who have this type of motivation, don't pursue goals so much unless those goals are for the general good of the project. This type of motivation is what we find in companies. For example, instrumental is the one that will make the company move, but integrative is the kind of motivation that we need to create cohesion and strength in the company. Both are fundamental, both are needed, but if you have a very, 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 very integrative type of motivation, you sometimes might get lost in the feeling okay and having everything you need instead of pursuing goals, and that might get you stuck. So remember, motivation is great, but you need to watch out for the kind of motivation you have. Ask yourself, do I more pursue goals? Am I more instrumental? Or am I the kind of person who focuses more on the how I feel and how everything feels and how everything is working together? And that's your integrative motivation. Okay, and based on that, you will understand what to give yourself in order to proceed. Second, well, you have the car, you already know where you're going to go. You're going to set your goal based on that type of motivation. If your motivation is instrumental, you'll set goal after goal after goal. If your motivation is integrative, you will find a goal or an objective that makes everything fit in and makes you feel okay. You have that goal, you already have the destination, but now you need the gas for the car. And that's the energy. You know, if I want to get going and I want to move and I want to reach my objective, but I don't have any energy, I am just drained, I'm not going to be able to get anywhere. It's like I start the car, but it has no gas. I will never make it. So how do I nurture, how do I feed my energy? Well, there's two things you need for that energy. The first one is passion. Passion is the fuel that human beings use. As simple as that. When you're passionate about something, look at me now talking, you know, I'm passionate about what I do, then you always have the energy, right? It's when we have to do things we don't want to do, things we don't care for, that we don't have the energy. So you have to analyze what gives you passion. What makes you feel really thrilled and really happy about things. And you have to include that in your whole process to continue having that energy that you need to move on. And the last item I wrote here is attitude. Okay, attitude has to do with the way you see things. If you are one of those people who's always talking about the no buts, yeah, no, that's interesting, but, yeah, no, I'd love to, but, if you're always focusing on the buts and the I can't, yeah, no, you know, I wish I could, but I can't. Yeah, I wish I can't. The no buts and the I can'ts. Your attitude will be closing every door in front of you. If you want to try this, you can do this later after we finish the talk today. You can play with your family or your friends. You can try and create a vacation trip with them, okay? You're going to tell them, look, sorry, we're going to make this a little activity. We're going to play a game. We're going to organize a trip. And I am going to be deciding where we go, all right? I want to convince you to go someplace. And we're going to have this conversation, and every sentence I propose, like, okay, we're going to go to Italy. You're going to answer with no but, okay? No, I like Italy, but won't it be too cold? And you will give them more things. Yeah, but then Italy is fantastic for pizza. Yeah, no, I like pizza, but I'm gluten intolerant. Okay, no but. And then you're going to try with the yes and. The same exercise. Okay, now I'm going to try and convince you to come to Italy with me, and everything you're going to say will start by yes and. Okay, I want you to come to Italy with me on vacation. Instead of saying no but, what we're going to do is we're going to say yes and. Okay, I want you to come to Italy with me. Will you come? Yes, and we can also stop in Greece. Okay, and we can eat pizza. Yes, and we can also eat, you see? No but closes doors. Yes and opens doors. And every time you play the I can't game, I want you to realize you're saying I can't again, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. And I want you to replace it with, okay, what can I? Right, I know this I can't. What is it that I can? Yes, I can, blah, blah, blah. Right? So that is the attitude a real optimist has. So if you want to keep your level of optimism, that driving force that we all have, you need to define your motivation and start it. You need to have a high level of energy that you will feed through your passion, and you will keep it high through your attitude. You see? You have a lot of homework to do, I think, with this presentation that we're having today. We need to work on our level of optimism every day. We need to keep it high if we're going to have the energy to pursue the goal that we defined for ourselves. So we already have a very clear idea of what our goal is going to be. We already have a very clear idea of what it is that we already have, what it is that we need. We know how to feed our optimism. But let us go back to a slide that I don't know why this system didn't show it today. I want you to now ask yourself a set of basic questions, okay? You defined an objective for yourself, where you want to go, okay? My success, my path, my goal, my objective will be this. I want you to ask yourself now, what do you gain by going there? What do you gain by achieving that goal or that objective? And then I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I don't gain if I don't go? So what is it that I gain if I don't go? If I go, imagine your goal is losing 30 kilos, the same example we used before. What am I going to gain by losing 40 kilos? Well, I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to be thinner. I'm going to be able to use the clothes I used to wear 5 years ago. That's what I gain. So what do I gain by not going? Well, if I don't lose those kilos, I can still use the clothes I have now, and I can feel sorry about myself. You see, there's always gains in not reaching our goals too. So measure what you gain by going versus what you gain by not going. You have to be very honest with yourselves here, okay? You have to really, really, really be very clear with yourselves. What do I gain by going? What do I gain by not going? And decide which one is more important. Then, do you really want to go? Based on what do I gain by going? What do I gain by not going? Do I really want to go? And then, who am I? This had to do with all those personal characteristics that you have that we did a few minutes ago. So now that we have all these details, we're going to start preparing our roadmap. We are going to take this little drawing that you see on the slide. You're down at the bottom, you see with that question mark on your head, thinking, how do I do this? You can even draw this at home, okay? When we finish, you can draw it because it's very, very visual and helps you very much. At the end of this little path, this treasure map, this roadmap, we have goal. You can write objective there, okay? So my roadmap, my objective is, I want you to write down the objective that you finally defined after doing the exercise with me, with those 5 items that your objective has to comply with. Now you have your objective, write it down here, right? The second question I'm going to ask you is, why haven't I reached it yet? So what is it that is blocking me from reaching this objective? Is it that I didn't have it clear? Is it that I am afraid of it? Is it that not going there gives me more than going there? Be honest about this too, okay? What is it that prevented me from reaching my objective yet? And now, this is the time when we're going to talk about objectives and goals. The next question is, what intermediate goals do I set for myself? Sometimes we have an objective that is huge. I want to have a doctoral thesis. And you say, that's a lot of work. And it feels scary, it feels too big. Well, what you can do is you can write it. My objective is to complete a doctoral thesis or become a doctor. And then you say, but because this is too big and too scary, I'm just going to focus on the first goal. The first goal is like intermediate goals until you reach your final objective. It's like small objectives within the big objective. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the bicycle races in Europe, with the cycling races. We have the Tour de France, we have the Giro d'Italia, and we have the Spanish Vuelta. What they do is they run races on bicycles, and they have like the objective is to win the general final race. But every day they have intermediate goals, and every time you reach one of those intermediate goals, you receive an award. It could be extra points, or it could be monetary awards, it could be different things. And the winner of the complete championship is the one that has won more of those intermediate goals, okay? So this is a little bit the same. If you have a huge objective and it overwhelms you, we're going to divide it into minor goals. And we're going to focus on defining the goals the same way we defined the objective. So to define your goals, you have to go through the same process. The 5 items that your goal has to be a goal instead of a dream, the resources you have, the resources you need, etc. Okay? So here on this drawing that you have on the slide, you can write and draw the intermediate goals and set those on your path and start focusing on the first one. And then the next question is, what resources can I combine to overcome some of the obstacles? As you see on the slide, there says resources available, and then it says resources needed. You already know what resources you have because we spoke about it. And you already know what resources you need. So how can you combine those resources to overcome the obstacles you foresee you're going to be facing on your way to your objective? You can draw the obstacles as I did on the slide here. You can write them down on your little roadmap so you clearly see what you think is going to block you. Because when you do that, sometimes you combine the resources you have with the resources you need, and you say, okay, I will do this to get the resource I need in order to combine it with what I already have, and that will help me overcome the obstacle. You see, sometimes when we overcome obstacle 1, obstacle 2 suddenly disappears because they're related. So by placing this on a sheet of paper and making it visual, you might be able to plan how you're going to go about reaching your objective in an easier, more logical way. And last question, what will my objective bring me? Here we go. Imagine you reach your objective. You're there already. You made it. What do you gain? What does it bring you? When you answer all these questions, you already have your roadmap. You already know what your objective is going to be. You already know how you're going to combine all the resources you already have and which resources you're going to have to look for yourself. You are going to know what obstacles you're going to be facing and how you're going to go about overcoming them. You already know everything. But I also recommend that you do one more thing, and that is, you might see it right in front of the little man in the drawing. It says, first step. I want you to write down what your first step is going to be. What is the first thing you need to do? The first one to start on this path to your success. And I want you to write it down. Once you write down the first step, what is it? What is the first thing I need to do? Ask yourself, am I pursuing this objective? Yes or no? If you say yes, you have your complete roadmap in front of you. You know exactly what needs to be done and how. If you say no, and you still want to work on this, you can go back to the whole process, see where the problem is, and solve it and fix it. Well, this is the roadmap that you can use to defining and reaching your own success. So what did you learn today? Well, I hope, and you will tell me in a few minutes, I hope that you learned that objectives have to be analyzed and properly defined in order to reach them. I hope you also learned that you have a lot of resources and that you can get other resources to help you, and that you need optimism. You need that energy, you need that drive. Without the energy and the drive, you will fail, because pessimists always give up. And I hope you learned that you can succeed. Everyone can succeed if they don't give up. I'll say it. Everyone can succeed if they know how to. So we go back now to the first exercise we did today. I know I am successful when. So what do you need to see in your life? What do you need to make happen in your life to feel like you succeeded? Are you going to go for it? Are you going to really follow this roadmap of yours? Are you going to reach your success? We're going to go and we're going to, why are the slides here? The slides are jumping, I am sorry. So what I want you to focus on right now is, I know what I want. I know what success means to me, but what do I choose to change this instant so I can reach it? We've been doing things a certain way, right? And maybe we didn't reach success until today. Do you know everything you need? You know everything you must have. So I want you to ask yourself today, right now, what do I change? Or what do I choose to change? What is it that I'm going to change in my day-to-day? This moment, right now, right here, so I can reach success. Second, what will I stop doing? Am I boycotting myself? Am I maybe procrastinating? What will I stop doing? And what will I start doing? Will I start this instant? I finish the conversation with Jessica. I sit down and I do my roadmap. I don't know. What is it that you're going to start doing? What is your commitment? How decisive are you? How decided are you to reach your success? And what I said before, finally, what is your first step? I'm going to give you some time now for questions. We're going to finish now. I'm going to thank everyone for your attendance, your participation, and I hope your questions now. I was trying to go a little bit fast so we could have a little time for questions now. Please, Sarah, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for your very valuable presentation information. You have really talked about very relevant points to so many youth and to so many leaders and people all around the world. And it's a very hard question to say, you are successful, when do you feel that you're successful? That's very hard because success is being portrayed in a certain way. We understand it in a certain way. There are some sort of stereotypes surrounding it. So how can we really break this belief system about success and adopt our belief, our own belief system, and challenge the old one to become the person, the successful person that we inherently want, but we don't know what it is yet?
Great question. Thank you, Sarah. Well, the first thing I would say is you have this exercise. What is success? I am successful when? Go through your answers. What did you write? In your answers, did you write measurements by other people or did you add measurements by yourself? Ask yourself what it is that you feel when you reach those levels of success established by others and what it is that you feel when you reach the levels of success established by you. At the end of the day, life is one for each human being. Let me tell you a little bit quickly about myself. I had a few challenges in my life. I had 3 professional careers already in my life because of circumstances. The first one was I was an English teacher. My father was an English teacher. He taught teachers how to teach. So I was one of the teachers in his school. Then I became a simultaneous interpreter. That is, the people who speak at the same time as others in a different language to facilitate conferences and congresses. And I loved it. I loved my job. I traveled around the world. I translated for the most interesting people in the planet. But I had 2 car accidents and I was disabled. And I was told I would never walk again and I would never work again, which was disastrous because I loved my job. And on top of that, I was very, very, very physically disabled. I could barely stand and I would fall to the floor if I tried to stand. So my life was completely destroyed by my 2 accidents. Until I realized that through those accidents, I lost my optimism. And I started working on recovering it. So I know about optimism because I had to recover it myself. And today, I created Humanology. I wrote half a dozen books. I'm an international speaker all around the world. I'm not in a wheelchair. So when you're trying to define success, ask yourself, what does success mean to me as a human being, not as a professional? Because that little difference will give you a much clearer understanding of what it is that you need to pursue to feel happy about it. If you just focus on the professional, if I only focused on the professional, I would have remained on my wheelchair completely down because I would not reach my level of professional success. And because I refused to do that, I am a fulfilled woman today. Did I answer your question, Sarah?
Yeah, perfectly. Thank you so much. And there's also another question. When you were speaking about optimism, you try and then you found that you change the path and then you think you're a thinker, you're creative, you're doing so many things at the same time. And optimism, apparently it comes with a lots of hope and lots of exhaustion and lots of work and lots of effort, lots of thinking and focus. So how can we balance? How can we really keep being optimists in this path that is exhausting us at the same time, giving us lots of hope at the same time, thinking that it's like, it seems kind of a mess. How can we deal with that?
There's a buzzword. Well, there are 2 buzzwords today that everyone's talking about. One is resilience and the other one is happiness. Resilience is the capacity that people have to get up when they fall, all right? In my institute, we say that's not enough. You fall, you get up, you're still in the same place. We want people to get up and move forward. So in our opinion, optimism is resilience plus hope. The true optimist doesn't make an effort to be optimistic. That comes from the energy and the passion they have for what they're doing. When you say, I have a lot of work to do, that sounds like you don't have the passion you need for doing it. It will always be a job, it will always be work, unless you're passionate about it. I don't work a day in my life, and I know a lot of people say that, but in my case in particular, to me, this is not working. I love it, I enjoy it so much. And because I love what I do, I can get into this state of flow. The state of flow is when you're so focused on something, doing something, that the rest of the world vanishes, and there's only you and that thing that you're doing. That, the state of flow, is the real proof that you're doing what you should be doing. So if you do that, if you enter the state of flow, you will never be tired. You will have the passion to fuel you. And the second buzzword is happiness. It's like success. Stop defining happiness by what others say. Happiness can only be defined by you. So if you're doing a job that will only give you materialistic or economic satisfaction, but not whatever happiness means to you, I would go back to my objectives. I would reanalyze them, because as long as it feels like work and effort, you might be on the wrong path, honey.
Yeah. Thank you so much. There are two questions arises from your answer. The first one is that when we speak about passion, we usually, some people like start, they say, oh, we have the passion, they start and they don't finish. And it's always said it's better to adopt reasonable arguments why you are starting what you're starting, instead of adapting like passionate temporary feelings. So what do you think about this? And the second question that arises as well, which is in regards to objectives. How do we know that these are our own objectives that we had set for ourselves when we do not really know ourselves very well, do not really know our values very well?
Okay, let me answer the first question first. As I said, passion is the fuel that you need to keep going. It's what's going to fuel your energy. If you run out of passion, you run out of energy, and then you can't continue. So you have to ask yourself what it is that you really enjoy. Why does it feel like something you're passionate about? What is it in that thing that you're doing that makes you feel so passionate? Because maybe it's not the thing itself, but one aspect of it. And that might already tell you, wait, that should not be my goal. It should be a little bit that way. For example, I was talking to a girl who was studying IT a few years back. And she didn't really know what she wanted to do. She knew that she was studying it and she was struggling because she was lacking the passion and the energy to complete her studies. Ta-da! A clear example, and this is a real one. So I remember working with her and asking her, so what do you feel passionate about? And she says, well, I don't really like the studies very much. So what is it that you like? Well, I want to work. That's what I want. Okay, but you need to finish. Yeah, and I can't finish because I'm running out of energy. All right. So what we did is we started analyzing what she would like to become in the future. And she said, I want to be a manager. I want to be the boss. And I said, okay. So if what gives you passion, what makes you feel really vibrant is that goal, I want to become, remember the objective, I want to become a manager, I want to be the boss. Let's see what it is that you need to do on the path to finish your studies to get there. And your fuel, your passion will not be the studies. Your passion will be becoming a boss. So you have to really tap into the passion that is the real passion you have. See, if she started looking for passion in one of the subjects at school, she would have never finished her studies because they were not a source of enough passion for her. So look for what is really passionate in you in your life, not just on the task at hand. And second, you were saying, well, how can I define the objective? If I don't know myself? Welcome to the world of human beings. That's why Humanology exists, because we always say there's a lot of gurus out there, come to me and I will tell you how to be successful. I say, wait a minute. As I said at the beginning, this has to be your individual path. I can't give you an answer that fits everybody because we're all different. The first thing you need to do is the analysis I gave you here. You have to get to know you. You have to know what your values are. You have to know what your strengths are. You have to know who you are in order to know what you have and what you don't have to reach success. That's the process you have to focus on. You have to get to know you. And if you don't know you and you don't know how to go about knowing you, well, ask for help. Professionals like me, humanologists, optimism coaches, we work helping people define and understand that. And there is a lot of tools and a lot of materials you can use to really understand who you are. In humanology, we always say, we help people first understand who they are, know themselves, because without that, you can never reach any goals because you don't know where you stand. How are you going to define where to go unless you know where you stand? If you're here and you know it, then you can choose where to go. But if you don't know where you are, how are you going to start going there? So I would recommend that you use the tools I gave you here. You can always reach out to me. You can always ask me for more details, for more tools, for more materials. We have a lot of things that you can do. And we can help you first know who you are. We have tools like Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese tool that helps you identify your life purpose and your professional purpose, your vocation, your profession, your passion. So all these tools help you with different pieces of the puzzle. We are all like puzzles. We just have to find the pieces and put them in the right order. And it can be done.
Thank you so much for your answer. It was a beautiful journey having you here with us today. And you had also created awareness about self-discovery. It's also a beautiful journey to go through it. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any last word you would like to address to our viewers and to our leaders?
Yes, I would like to say thank you first. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Global Law Thinkers, for inviting me. I would like to invite everybody to discover Humanology because it really is life-changing. I can suggest that you tap into our website or that you send me a message requesting a free copy of our monthly magazine. We publish The World of Humanology, which is a free online magazine with a lot of articles, interviews, information, and you can get it to know more about yourself, about the world, and about human beings. You can just send me an email, send me a note, and we will make sure you receive your magazine every month. So like that, you will have information and access to everything we're doing. Thank you so much, Sarah.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Jessica. And today is our last day in our SRTA webinars program. And it was a very beautiful journey today, and it's amazing. And we will be also organizing other SRTA training webinars in the next month. Each month, we'll be having a program dedicated for a certain topic for your personal and professional growth. And for more educational SRTA webinar, just follow our Facebook page, Global Law Thinkers Society. And if you would like to explore in further details what Global Law Thinkers Society stands for, just check our website, www.globallawthinkers.org. If you are a professional and you would like to donate your skills, please email us to prgltshq@gmail.com. Thank you very much for attending our today's webinar, and see you very soon.
Thank you.